There was an announcement this week of a long, slow goodbye. Fido, the beloved Hillsboro Village coffee shop, will be closing June the 1st, 2028. You may think that's plenty of time, but time flies, especially when it comes to Nashville institutions. Bob Bernstein didn't set out to be the coffee king of Music City, but he's earned the throne with places in East Nashville, Belmont, Hillsboro Village, even the airport. Of all the people I have met in this town, he comes the closest to being a childhood neighbor. We went to rival high schools, but we both enjoyed the wonder years in the Northwest Chicago suburbs.
I never expected to be in the restaurant business. I didn't want to be known as a coffee guy. But here I am, and it's like, I think I got other things to do. I just don't know what they are.
We might spend a moment or two on memory lane, but hopefully you're listening on a lazy morning with a very good cup of coffee. I'm Demetria Kaladimos. It's Banner & Company. You and I are virtually from the same place on the planet.
That's crazy.
District 219 kids.
And we both came here for the same reasons.
I know. I beat you by a couple of years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, many, I think. I got here in 88.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the old stomping grounds. We're from rival high schools.
Yeah, I went to Niles East.
But didn't they close East?
After I graduated.
Were you the final class?
I was the last class to graduate. Yeah, in my hometown, they tore down my residence we had since I was born. They tore down my elementary school, changed the name of my middle school, and closed my high school. So I have I go back there's nothing there.
My mother went when it was Niles Township.
Yeah. I didn't know that. It was one school.
Yeah, and isn't it funny that all three of the schools are in Skokie, yet all three were called Niles something?
Yes. I never understood Skokie, Niles Township, all that stuff.
So you didn't have to change schools afterwards. Did your other brother?
My younger brother did. You don't know. I don't think you know my younger brother, but he did 2 years at East, 2 years at North. Kenny's my older brother.
Yeah. Well, I went to North. You remember the old cheer, don't you?
Yes. I don't like it, but yes. West is best.
East is least, but North has air conditioning.
Yes. You know, I just read a book about a guy who grew up there, and he had it as North has it. He said North is air conditioned. He changed it. I always heard it the way you said it.
Oh yeah, it was much better cheered that way. and Niles East, your alma mater, was used in a bunch of John Hughes films, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and Kenny and my brother worked on some of those. Risky Business was filmed there, and I can't remember what else.
Yeah, 16 Candles.
16 Candles.
Pretty in Pink.
Right.
You name it, John Hughes, and it was done there in the neighborhood. I promised to get off of our high schools, but I was just checking today to see if they've ever gotten any better in sports.
No.
Pathetic.
Yeah,
North is known for its chess club and its robotics club.
We were actually, my junior year on the football team, we were actually decent. When I say decent, I mean like 500. And we were team of the week on WLS radio because we came within 14 points of the best team in the state. So that's how bad we were. Just getting close was good enough to get us recognition.
Going back, though, were you three brothers, even though you were split up a little bit in the school years, were you constant companions?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were. I think Kenny wanted us to be the Jackson 5, but we had no talent. So we were always doing things together.
In the yearbook under Bernstein, Robert, what does it say?
Gosh, in high school, I don't remember. And see, in junior high, I was a basketball star, so I was king of the court. But I don't remember in high school. Wow. That's sad that I don't know.
And what set you on the journalism path?
It was a combination of two different passions. I always wrote as a moody teenager and filled journal after journal after journal. And starting when I was 10, I volunteered for Abner Mikva, the congressman, on every political campaign. He had an office literally around the corner from our house, and something about those signs in the window. I took a year off of my junior year of college to, actually it would have been my senior year of college, to work for Alan Cranston for president. I got a job in Iowa and did that whole thing. And during that campaign, I was in a bar and I met a reporter, and I'd like to think it was a New York Times reporter, but it could have been anybody. And we were just talking, and I'm like, I think I'd rather have your job than this political organizing path I was on. And so I finished out my senior year. I went to Medill at Northwestern. I said, well, how do I get in? I got mediocre grades, but I have this political background. They said, just apply, see what happens. And I got in. So I got my graduate degree from Medill in journalism.
First paper where?
Here.
Really?
Yeah, Nashville Business Journal. They were the first ones to hire me.
Did you enjoy it?
It's yes and no. I moved here with every northern stereotype about Nashville. I'd said I'm going to use it as a springboard for my journalism career, move on to a bigger, better city, bigger, I'm in air quotes here, and bigger, better paper. But after about a year and a half of covering a lot of city meetings where they were talking about growth and what we're going to do, and hearing the chamber express this like we're going to go, I bought into it. And I realized journalism wasn't for me for many reasons, but I bought into there's something happening in Nashville, and I didn't know what it was, and so I stuck around for another year and a half in journalism, and until I was about to turn 30, and really hated what I was doing, and said I'm going to try to open a coffee house.
Why coffee?
I didn't drink coffee then. It was the coffee house. I loved the atmosphere. High school, college, I would hang out and be that moody teenager, or study, or read and write, and nurse a cappuccino for 2 hours because I thought I had to order something, but I didn't really like it. I just liked being there. So I got into the business because I liked the atmosphere of coffee, and everything else changed along the way.
I remember vividly when Bongo Java opened, it seemed like it was an instant hangout.
It was. Yeah, the first line of the business plan was we wanted to create a gathering place for all of Nashville. And for whatever reason, we opened Sunday at 4 o'clock, which is kind of the weird time for a coffee house and that's what we did. And there was a line of people out the door, and I just couldn't believe it. There was, I guess, a pent-up demand for people who had been these places, other cities, and this and that. And even on Belmont Boulevard, we're kind of hidden at the time. But people, it was just the right place at the right time. Bongo's gone through all these different stages, but when we opened, we were this 30 and older crowd that was looking for an alternative to the bar scene, and musicians would hang out there, and they were so happy there was no live music because they didn't feel any pressure. They didn't, everything. So it was strange.
Was parking always an issue? There is no parking at
There is
Bongo.
no bar. Well, now there is. There's plenty of parking back because we bought a building next door. There's plenty of parking. But I remember taking investors, and God had no money. And I brought in potential investors to look at it. And one investor said, where's the parking? And the other person with him said, what Nashville restaurant has parking? And that got him to sign the check. So it worked. So it was a walking place for years. That's what it was. And then it went through a stage where it was a high school hangout because high school kids discovered that there was a safe place for them. And then Belmont Boulevard expanded to Belmont University expanded to Belmont Boulevard, and that brought the college student, and that's what it mostly is today.
What did your folks say? I mean, you had a steady gig, and you said, I'm going to open a coffee shop.
You're assuming that journalism was a steady job.
At that time, it was probably more steady.
I moved here to make $15,500. And so I got significant increases over a couple of years. But no, my dad was a CPA, and he could never figure out how I made money $1 at a time, but it worked. My mom just, anything that we did that was creative and fun and different. When we were little, she wanted to open a family ice cream parlor. So I guess there's somewhere in here like this was it.
You were saying you had sort of celebrity. You have people to this day who argue whether they were the first customer at Bongo.
Yeah. Bruce Bruce Arnston that became famous for Debbie and Doyle show and other things he's done in town. He I think was second because a guy with him was another actor who always claimed he was first. And but that, I mean, it was just look back. We had a little burlap sign that somebody hand painted, "Open at 4," attracted this line of people from day one. My mom came to visit that day, and I didn't even know where she was, but she was in the back washing dishes.
Really?
Yeah.
Did anything substantially change from that moment that you kind of created the vibe, or did it have to?
Meaning over time?
Yeah. I mean, just in terms of the offerings. I know you started Bongo after hours, but the general feel of the place kind of stayed the same.
I think it stayed the same. It's just been, the population has changed, our customer base, but I'm hoping it's always been a comfortable place for people to hang, a comfortable and safe place for people to hang.
It's Banner and Company. I'm Demetria Kaladimos, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Sephora. I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey. I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi,
Let's get you a basket.
What is complicated about serving coffee?
Coffee itself, I mean, it's really rather simple. It's coffee. It's just, ground beans and water. The whole part is the lattes and those kind of drinks and the latte art that the baristas do that I'll never be able to do.
You don't know how to do the little flour?
You don't want me making you a drink. You don't want me to roast your coffee. You don't want. I do know the recipe of how much beans to make a pot of coffee. I could do that, but other than that, no. I purposely stayed away from that. And we get, it's like the whole industry of coffee over the last 30 years has changed. The way we make drinks, everything, it's become way more scientific. And I'm blessed to have all kinds of employees that are so into it. They love that kind of detail, which I'm the big picture. I love to start things, but don't put me behind a roaster where I have to sit there and stare at the beans for all day long. I'll just burn them.
Who came up with the name?
One of my investors, Bruce Gold. We were trying to figure it out. I always had this name Beanheads in my head that I wanted to use. And Bruce came up with this Bongo Java. He thought it connoted a Jack Kerouac hanging out at a 50s coffee house and somebody playing the bongos and wearing the cool hat. And, initially I didn't like it, I have to admit, but over time I grew to love it. I think it was just because I didn't come up with it.
Tell me about expanding to Fido, because I remember it when it was still a pet shop.
Yeah, it was a pet shop for 50 years. Hillsboro Village was where I really wanted to be originally, but I couldn't find space. And then we, moved a few blocks away to Belmont. And then somebody told me that there was space opening up in Hillsboro Village. And it was really only supposed to be this little 1,200 square foot space that was a hair cutting place called Patsy and Faye's Hairloom. And that was there for 40, 50 years as well. And we were going to call it Bongo, the number 2 Go, because it was just going to be coffee roasting in the back and coffee and pastries to walk out. And literally in the middle of the night, without the landlord even knowing it, the pet shop just moved out. And they called me and said, "Do you want a bigger space?" And I'm like, I don't think so. But, 24 hours later, I'm like, yeah, I do. And so that's how it got created.
When you inherit a pet shop, what do you find? I'm afraid to ask.
You're afraid of what you're what you're gonna find. No, it was pretty empty. There was nothing scary or anything there. But it wasn't. It's funny because so many people told me not to sign a 20-year lease. They made fun of me. I mean, they made so many people. Hal Cato, runs the community foundation. I was working with him. He started Hands on Nashville. I was on the original board, but he was so convinced I was going to lose my money at Bongo. Him and others, on the board helped me paint the place because they thought they wanted to help out. Same thing at Fido. People are like, you're going to sign a 20-year lease in Hillsboro Village as is, no money? I'm like, yeah. I just said, no brainer. And they all looked at me like I was crazy. And then, 5-10 years later, they thought I was brilliant. So I don't know. I was lucky. It was just, I knew at the time I was young, single, stupid. What's the worst going to happen? They're going to take my, 10-year-old car away from me. I mean, that's all I had.
Who offers a 20-year lease?
Well, it's a 10-year lease with a 10-year option.
Which is still like amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you kind of need for a restaurant because you put that kind of money into it. You need at least 10 years to hopefully get your money back. So, and the 10-year option's nice.
And at that time, you had how many years of business under your belt?
We opened Bongo Java in 93, signed a lease in 95 for Fido, and opened in 96. So literally nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was breaking up with a girlfriend. So I was like, my head was totally not in that game. It took longer to open that store, more expensive than it should have been. But it took a year, but Fido finally started to click.
Yeah.
But Bongo Java was busy right away.
What was the deal with Fido? Just location? And were people connecting it with Bongo? Did they instantly say this is the same guy?
Well, it's so funny to look back on some of these stories that I've been doing lately. It was really Fido and Bongo Java Roasting Company. We put them both in the same building because we started roasting coffee inside of Fido. And I remember a customer really just yelling and screaming at me because he missed an important meeting because he told the guy to meet him at Bongo Java, and one of them came to the roasting company and one of them went to Belmont 2 blocks away. And somehow this was my fault that I had 2 places with the same name. And so, yeah, people did connect. It was just weird. I'm like, so if you meet at McDonald's, do you describe which McDonald's you're going to meet? It was just kind of funny, but people understood it. And I tried to make Fido like Bongo Senior, a little more grown up, a little more detailed, but still fun, casual, comfortable.
Yeah. Did it instantly attract families on the Saturdays?
It did.
Were they still looking for puppies and goldfish?
Well, you're bringing up all these old stories. When we first opened Fido, we had a problem with the alarm system, and we had the police there all the time. And then one time, they let the canine in just to make sure nobody was inside. And I'm sitting in the parking lot with the partner, and he's explaining to me all the problems his dog is having, the stomach problems, and I'm just like, why is he telling me all this? And then I finally realized he thinks it's a pet store, and that I actually know, that I actually have a clue what's going to help a dog. I'm like, it's a restaurant. I know it says pet. We kept the old sign up on the building so people are confused.
Yeah, I think that was brilliant. I mean, to get rid of the sign would have been to get rid of a piece of Hillsboro Village history.
That picture is in a famous picture of Kennedy coming down up Hillsboro Village, and that picture is in the foreground as Kennedy's driving in his motorcade. So that sign's been around forever. But yeah, it does create some confusion once in a while, and that's how Fido got its name. I just kept staring at that dog and saying, I need a name for this place. I don't want to call it Bongo. And I finally just said, I don't know, something like Fido, and that kind of just stuck.
There have been so many lease casualties. I mean, you're talking about your 20 years that gave you, I would assume, a little bit of planning space and breathing room, but gosh, so many places are going down like dominoes. What do you think the scope of that is, Mr. Former Business Reporter?
Well, it's been happening for, as it's a casualty of national growth. Everything's becoming more expensive. It's people like me in Hillsboro Village and others in other neighborhoods, invested in these neighborhoods early on. But a lot of us couldn't afford to buy the buildings. We just kind of rented them. But as we became popular, or any other business, the neighborhood started to pick up, and houses started to flip, and other business started to move in, and then real estate just becomes more and more valuable and expensive. I mean, 12 South has some of the most expensive rents in the city, and that's where I live, and just about every business on there is not something that locals afford or want to go to. So it's happening all over the city.
How do you feel about that?
It's like it's kind of like this is what I wanted, just more stuff in Nashville, but it's became too much. I've gone through a love-hate relationship every few years with Nashville. I really, was surprised I liked it at the beginning, and I loved it, and I saw this growth, and I saw it. But I didn't love the way it really grew, mostly for tourism, I feel, and for big business. And I think there's been a lack of what happens for local families. And I raised 2 kids here, and it's like, what is it for us? And even I've got a kid at Human Fog, the high school downtown, and I go pick them up, and there's party buses all day long, and I'm like, how are they supposed to study with these party buses going by every day? And that's the part that I kind of wish that there was more foresight or attention put into that.
Yeah. So you have you've launched sort of a slow goodbye.
I did. Well, from one store.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do it that way?
That's funny. When I first signed the last 3-year lease, this idea came to me, and I said, I'm going to do this, and everybody thought I was crazy, and so I kind of stuck to it. As just the same percentage of people thought I should never sign a lease. Said, don't tell people 3 years in advance. But after I put the sign up, initially I realized it was for me. It was a way to make it real to me. And I'm almost tearing up here. That's weird. I needed that sign for me personally, but then after I put it up and it started getting attention on a lot of different Instagram accounts and other social media things, I realized it was for the city. It's really helping a lot of other people that they have time to digest that another piece of Nashville is leaving. It humbles me to think that to realize how important Fido has been for a lot of people. But a lot of people from all over the country are ordering T-shirts and mugs and things, and it's just part of their history. And it's giving people saying, oh, I get one more chance to say goodbye to my favorite place in Nashville, or this place that I met my husband, or this place that I took my kids every morning. And it's really nice, I think.
I know, and I like what you've written too, because you're pretty open about the explanation.
Thank you.
You need more time for your family.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother, we can go down that track. But, how entrepreneurs complain about how their business kind of hurts their family life. To me, it was the opposite. I got married late in life, had kids late. I was 44 and 46 when I had my kids. And I was so fortunate that I had a thriving business that allowed me to stay home with my kids. So that, my kids are off to college now, so I'm spending soon. So that's not really the reason, but it is to reconnect with my wife and to just connect. I never expected to be in the restaurant business. I didn't want to be known as a coffee guy, but here I am, and it's like, I think I got other things to do. I just don't know what they are. I've been in this, and there you go. So it was, the clock down is what my favorite thing is, the countdown. It's like it's like 968 days today. It's kind of funny to me to see.
Yeah, how do the employees feel? I mean, there's still going to be Bongo and the roasting concern, and I mean, it's not like the Bernstein empire is going away.
No, it's not going away. A couple of key employees, again, counseled me not to put the sign up. And I had to hire a new chef and a new GM. I'd moved somebody over to be GM at the time, and I'm like, here's the deal. I had to be open with them because I'm like, I'm not going to hire you knowing there's only 3 years, because this is people's career and this is their life. So I incentivized them strongly. I said, you stay 3 years, and I want to kind of give you the opportunity I had 30 years ago. It's like a lot of the profits, if we can, what we can do is like, it's going to go toward staff and toward them. And so they're sad. I mean, a couple of them are just like, they love the place. Some of the hourlies are brand new. They don't, they're not as tied in, but the few key people there, they get it. I mean, they're bought in, and as much as the economics could be good for them, they understand that this is an institution that's kind of going away.
What's going to happen to the actual physical space after June 1st?
I have no idea. And
really?
I don't think the landlord knows either. I mean, they've been good to me over the years. We signed this in effect 20-year lease. And then early on, I asked for a 5-year extension. It's kind of worked out. And I had another option to sign for 10 more years, but it would have been at market rate, and I would have closed immediately if I had to pay real rate. And they came back and said, well, if you stay 3 years, this will help us out for whatever reason, and we won't really increase your rent, just a little bit. And I'm like, this is good. This gives me, that's how and then watching the TV show The Bear, I don't know if you saw The Bear, but
Yes.
they had the clock down time
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So all that kind of clicked into me at the same time.
Who did it first, you or the bear?
Oh, The Bear.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I think I stole the idea from The Bear.
You know what, though? I do love the bear because there's something about watching our hometown.
I know that place.
I know that. I know those
Yes.
people.
That's right. Going back to the beginning of this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last season, I don't, spoiler alert, but the main guy's whole thing is like, I have to leave to make this more valuable. It's like, I get it. I mean, it's like, I've been doing this for 30 years. In some ways, my staff is more invested than I, and on a daily basis than I am. So I related to every season of The Bear in different ways.
It's Banner and Company. My guest is Nashville's Mr. Coffee, Bob Bernstein, the founder of Bongo Java and Fido, which has begun the countdown to closure. We'll be right back. Before I forget, talk just a second about Bongo After Hours. Was that Kenny's idea?
That was my brother's idea. We first opened that building was Manuel Zeitlin Architects' building, and I convinced him, instead of selling me the building because I had no money, to rent me the first floor, and Manuel moved upstairs. So there was we had a sign that said, "Please don't feed the architects," because there was no door or anything. You just could walk up and see the architects. Then Manuel moved out because he got a little too noisy. He wanted his bigger space. And my brother came to me and said, well, what if I put a theater up there? I'm like, it's teeny tiny. What are you going to do? And somehow he made it work for a long time.
Yeah, tick off some of I saw magicians up there. I saw bands. I saw all kinds of stuff.
Plays, music, dance group. He made dance groups work in that tiny space. Doyle and Debbie, which became a Nashville institution for many years, premiered there. I can't remember all the stuff he put up there. He acted in some, he produced some. And yeah.
Were there ever arm wrestling or arguments over that space? Or who was in charge? Was he in charge upstairs and you handled down?
Exactly, yeah. We were never business partners. He would just rent the upstairs from me, and he had his own thing going on.
Yeah. Before we finish, he reminded me that I should ask you about the girl in gym.
Oh, gosh.
I have no idea what that means.
I think this is the reason it took me till 43 to get married, because anytime I would go out with a girl or interested in a girl, I'd be made fun of by my brothers. So I think the story came when I was in elementary school. He saw me talking to a girl in gym, and for next, 60 years, I've been teased about it. And here you are. Had to bring it up.
Well, what can I say? I took the bribe.
I don't even remember who the girl was.
Are the kids interested in taking over the coffee business?
No, not at all. They're way smarter than I am.
What are they going to do? What path are they on?
The 19-year-old is definitely Mr. Money and Mr. Business or something. Economics, data science, business. I'm not sure. But from when he was little, he just understood money way better than I ever did. Still, and my 17-year-old is more a science kid. He's looking at colleges now, and bioengineering is at the top, but it's not. None of it's definite. But they'd sit around and talk math formulas together and science concepts, and my wife and I just kind of roll, I have no idea what they're talking about.
I've got to tell you that the popsicle, my nieces called it the popsicle place.
Yes.
Even though they could probably have pronounced the Spanish name. That was such an important part of their visits to Nashville.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's where I met my wife. I went in to Las Paletas for a popsicle, and somehow I ended up with a wife, a few years later. I mean, it wasn't
That's how you do it.
There was lots of ups and downs, not ups and downs, but twists to get there. But yeah, I had no idea. It was that was a magical part of Nashville, and that's what you could afford to do back then. You could open a little popsicle shop or a little coffee house or a little whatever, and it was affordable. But times change.
What's the future of coffee? Like you said, it's ground beans and water, but they seem to be figuring out a way to reconstitute it, remarket it every 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy when I go to these coffee conventions and see the attention put into making this perfect thing. Again, I got into it because I love coffee houses and I love the atmosphere of hanging out. I know we serve really good coffee, and I got into coffee over the time, and I also got into the politics of coffee and buying directly from farmers, and that's a whole nother. For 25 years, we've helped start a buying group, do-gooder coffee group, I call it. But yeah, there's always invention. It's just like wine. It's like the more you learn, the more science comes out, and they figure out the better ways to make it. That's not where my interest lies in terms of making. That's why I hire people to do that. But the whole cold brew and the whole instant brew, everything's getting better and easier for consumers and coffee houses.
In the Bernstein household, what is the coffee making device?
Oh, barely nothing. It's a funny story. Is like before I was married, the cafes were my social life. I'd go and hang out and talk to people or whatever. And then I got married and had little kids, and I would take the kids to the coffee house every morning to show off and to get my coffee. And the kids got older, and they're like, "Dad, we don't want to go to the coffee house." It's like, why? I'm like, "But I gotta get my coffee." That's like, it was a need. And they came home from a friend's house one day. They said, "Dad, you can actually buy a machine and make coffee at home." So, they bought me a coffee maker one year for my birthday, but I barely ever use it. It's the cafe. I need my cortado. It's like a short latte, basically, and I need that flavor every day. And I barely make coffee at home.
Well, you're sitting across here from someone who has never had a cup of coffee in their life.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
It was only because I grew up in a coffee-obsessed household.
Wow.
And I really didn't want to...
You're a rebel like me, huh?
Yep, I was a rebel. My husband has to have his coffee every minute, so I'm still around it. And I absolutely adore the smell, and I love coffee candy and coffee ice cream, but there's something about the hot liquid that just doesn't do it for me.
That's interesting. My family doesn't drink it either. My wife and 2 kids don't drink it. My younger one likes the smell. For Hanukkah one year, I gave him a bag of ground coffee. He could put in his room and smell it all the time. but none of them have an interest in drinking it. It's funny.
Did you guys have bar mitzvahs? Because I swear I might have been at one of...
We
you
did.
Never know. I mean...
We did at Temple Iran on Main Street in Skokie. Yeah. We grew up pretty secular, but we did have the bar mitzvah.
You think you guys will stay long-term in Nashville? Like you said, you have a love-hate, but the roots are here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been here longer than in Skokie now. You too. I mean, I've been here since '88, so that's 30s. I can do the quick math. I can do that.
I'll leave that
kids.
to your kids.
So I've been here 37 years, but I can't imagine. We love our house. We love our friends. We love our location. But things change. I've learned that constantly over the years, and I don't know where my kids are going to end up, and I don't know if they're going to want us near them or not. So I don't have any plans to leave, but I could picture it now where I couldn't even picture the idea of it several years ago. Yeah.
Well, you have been a good friend to nonprofits, to other causes, and to people who need space to gather, and that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, it does. It's since we put up this sign that we're closing, I've gotten messages from all kinds of people, and a lot of them are just that. Like, you've always been there to support us, and you're always, even last minute, you supply us with a coffee or whatever, and that feels good. I mean, that's the more important part of my story than anything else, I think.
What's on your bucket list trip-wise, or have you seen as much of the world as you need to see?
Yeah, my the only professor that in the 4 colleges I went to that I connected with once told me the only reason to work is to buy airline tickets. So we've done that with the kids constantly.
See, I had some good teachers. The funny thing is, I can remember the name of every teacher in elementary school. Then it falls off.
Okay, yeah. I remember my first grade teacher because it was her first year. I remember my sixth grade teacher who and he came back up recently because I ran across his obituary. He died several years ago, but I didn't know he was a World War II hero. He was a this, he was a that. It's just crazy. And he was a White Sox fan, which is important. Ooh,
Don't tell me.
I got that in there.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, we could go on for, yeah. Yeah, we can't say that other word in my family.
Is the whole family Sox?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
You know, and the Sox won the World Series when my wife was pregnant with my oldest one, so it's even further.
And I consider you guys friends. No,
Not
I
anymore,
joke.
Huh? You don't put ketchup on your hot dog, do you?
Oh, God, no.
Okay, thank you.
Closing Fido, is that going to give you a little bit more leisure time? Or, I mean, like you said, you still got other places to run.
No, I got other places. That'll give me slightly more time. Kids going off to college both gives my wife and I time to travel together, which would be great. But it complicates family travels, like trying to quarantine. I have no idea where number 2 will go to school, so trying to match those calendars together. And the 4 of us love traveling together. So at least I hope they still do. But yeah, we'll definitely travel.
Where'd you go to school?
College?
Yeah.
You
said 4.
4.
4.
Yeah. Hamlin University in St. Paul, University of Wisconsin.
Madison
for 1 year. San Francisco State is where I got my undergrad degree, and then I went to Medill at Northwestern to get my graduate degree in journalism.
Why the jumping around?
Where's the couch? The first 2 years was a small school that I helped to play football, and health issues got in the way of that. Madison, I needed a bigger school and kind of.
I would have stayed at Madison.
I did. I probably would have, but then that's where I worked for a state. I was interning for a state rep, and she got me a job on this presidential campaign. So I took a year off, and once I did that, Cranston being from California, everybody I knew was in California, so I drifted out to San Francisco. And while I was out there, I said, after 3 years of college, I probably should get a degree. And so
home.
It all makes sense, but it didn't make. I mean, if I just say 4 colleges, like you're crazy, but it does make sense, I think.
Banner and Company is a production of the new Nashville Banner. This episode is produced by Steve Harouche and edited by me. The original music is by Verlin Thompson. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or go to NashvilleBanner.com. You're in good company. Final question is in the fishbowl.
Oh, I have to pick one of those?
Indeed.
Which is the easy one?
Everyone always asks for the easy.
No, I don't want I want the tough one. This the tough one? That's the easiest one to reach.
Now here's where you may need your reading glasses. Maybe not.
I got it. This is big enough. From Becca Andrews. What's the best book you've read this year? God, I've read a bunch, but I'm too old to remember most of them. I'm going to go with, I'm in the middle of rereading The World According to Garp, which is an old class. This book, it just hit me at the time back in high school. I read it. My dad was reading, and I just picked it up. And for some reason, it hit me hard because it was about a writer. I was kind of thinking writing was something I wanted to do. And in the book, Garp, who ends up being a writer, talks about reading a book. To understand a book, you have to read it 3 times in a row. And so I did that with Garp. And then I saw the movie, and then I read it again. And it's been sitting on my shelf all these years. For some reason, I picked it up again. I'm about half to 3/4 of the way through it again. And it's just like, I don't love it as much as I did back in high school, but I it reminds me of what I loved about it and how it affected me. It's like, oh, I think it told me I could be a writer, even though I didn't expect, journalism wasn't what I expected. But I don't know, somehow that book gave me confidence. And so I guess that's the best book I'll point to.